program. Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Norman Shealy and Dr. Sergey Leo Shealy-Sorin. Get the health answers you need from the creator of holistic medicine and the 2020 Holistic Doctor of the Year. To be a part of today's show, call 417-447-1777. Wellness Wednesday. Now, here are your hosts, Dr. Norman Shealy and Dr. Sergey Leo Shealy-Sorin.
And hello. Oh, can you hear me over the music? Okay. I don't want to take any chances. Every word we're going to say today is going to be very important. So let's make sure the music fades out, please. All right. Thank you. All right. A brief introduction to today's topic. Extraordinary experiences. Consciousness. Human awareness. Human beings. Near death. Lucid dreaming. Out of body. You name it. There's all sorts of strange and unusual. Interestingly enough, today's topic is all about that. So I'm going to start by asking us a question, and I'll leave the question as for you to consider, to take some notes, or to ponder, I should say. What is reality? And we'll come back to that question. Question number 2. Okay. Could this be the matrix or a form of a matrix, the world that we're living in? I'm referring to the concept of the matrix as in Matrix the movie, and we did a radio show on the matrix at some point earlier for reference. The third question is, if I were to truly ask you, who and or what are you? What is your true essence? And please feel free to write down an answer to this question at some point. And you may want to start with your name, your occupation, so on and so forth. But that's what you do. You could do different things. The question is, who are you, or who or what are you? What is your true essence? And we'll come back to that question because the topic of today's conversation is going to address some of these issues. I'm going to start by saying that by an analogy. There is a very interesting, amazing transformation process when a caterpillar literally converts into a butterfly. And what happens is you've got this creature that is basically crawling on the ground, doing its thing, of course, eating leaves. And then all of a sudden it goes into this cocoon. And again, I'm not an expert on caterpillars, but I know a little bit about the topic, at least the idea, the concept. And in that cocoon, there is a lot of activity going on. There is breakdown of tissue. There is, basically, literally the melting of the physical being of the caterpillar. That's got to be scary. Just imagine yourself you're walking along, and all of a sudden your physical body is engulfed in a cocoon of a sort, and then you start dissolving. I mean, that's the loss of physical body. Scary, right? Now, from conventional medical perspective, that's exactly what happens because that's who we are. We are a physical body. That's what the conventional wisdom, society, and culture, including medical, treats the human as a physical body. So one of the honest questions that we need to ask and answer ourselves is, am I a physical body? In other words, there are some people who do not see themselves higher than that. And if that's the case, good luck. Really, good luck to you. I mean, there's only so much that can happen with that perspective. Or if you're enjoying yourself, great. No worries. But let me actually take it to the next level. So inside that cocoon, and this is symbolically very, very powerful, because there is always a process of building and breaking down that is going on at every single moment. The same thing we can talk about in the human in terms of one of the most important things in our being, which is the control center, the brain, neuroplasticity. And this is exactly what happens with us every single day. In this cocoon, you can think of it as a cocoon, by things that we do, think, say, and act, by who we are, by our environment, by our actions, we literally create our life by building networks and desactivating networks. Now, did you want to jump in on a little bit of the conversation? Because I got a lot more to say, and
Well, reality is a broad field, and dreams are part of that. sleeping is part of that, and wakening is part of that. But in addition to learning ordinary English and whatever English or speech you prefer, we have hidden nicks or nooks, and sometimes we gain a lot of time. I mean, our biggest single connection, I think, was I had a body experience. I was at a meeting in November, 1972, and all of a sudden, I was a people, 200 people, and I was just a visitor at the meeting, and all of a sudden, I had an out of body experience. I was floating in the air above 200 people, and it was totally reality. I was seeing the people would go, and I was perfectly fine. And right after that, I had a past life experience. It was open the possibility, but I suddenly saw myself in a different family, a different time, all the thing. And of course, right after that, I had experiences of reality and electrical stimulation to control acupuncture points without needles. And well, in the last 50 years, I've experienced a lot of variety.
This is fascinating and absolutely interesting because Dr. Shealy has just mentioned a number of categories of extraordinary events and possibilities. So let's go a little deeper into this because each one of these deserves to be explored further. So as I was mentioning earlier, so we talked about the physical dimension, physical level, or the level of the caterpillar, so to speak. I'd like to stay with that analogy. It seems to work for now. And then there's a transformation process, anabolic, catabolic, in other words, breaking down, building up. But there's always a change. There's always evolution. And the scarier the change, the harder the challenge, the more things seem chaotic, the faster the progress of the evolution, interestingly enough. But if one is looking at the situation from a perspective of fear, concern, and trying to maintain the status quo, then it becomes a terrifying experience. I'm talking about a human analogy, as I don't exactly know what a caterpillar is feeling specifically, but as a human, this is a very close approximation to what's happening in our current situation, in our current world. And it's something to become very aware of. The mental and emotional is indeed the control center. And actually what Dr. Shealy has put together and developed, and this was back in the 70s as well, is autogenic training, biogenics, self-regulation, basically, it's a way to reprogram the central and autonomic nervous system, how you perceive, how you do, how you react, and what happens. Because the brain and the mind is truly the control center. Here's the problem. A lot of people come to me with physical problems, and a lot of them get better, get worse, get better, get worse. You can take weight, for example, smoking, anything on a spectrum, any medical problems. Here's the issue. As long as the control center, the pattern of behavior, of lifestyle, of supplementation or not, and of whether you're able to manage stress or not, unless that entire pattern, which is the blueprint of the human being, really, literally, unless you make a change, you're going to get the same outcome every single time, no matter how many band-aids you put on. And that is the basic principle. That is why conventional medicine thrives, because humans, people, have adopted this passive process and saying that, hey, I'll get broken and then they'll fix me. Here's another Band-Aid. That's not how that works. Every time you go down and down the hill, the snowball effect, it's round 2, round 3, round 4, even more so for the wearer. And at some point, it's done. Now, at the same point, at the same time, I'm going to be very clear, and I'm going to say this: we were all going to die, and we'll come back to that point. Dr. Shealy, myself, everybody here in this room. Yes, Robin, I'm sorry to say that, but that's unfortunately the case. Not today, though. Not today. Everybody in the audience as well. So that's a reality. You can be afraid of death. You can fear it. You can anticipate it. You can stay away from it with everything you got. All you're doing is you're losing the opportunity to live your life, which is a gift and a present. So you're throwing away the present with a fear and anticipation of the future, which is inevitable. So it's going to happen. So bottom line, don't be afraid of death and enjoy life. That's the short of that one. But let's talk about specifically what these things can teach us in terms of near death. I'll talk about near death a bit. I've had several opportunities for near death, and I'm still here, which means I got to stop the BS, in other words, and take care of myself. Don't do stupid stuff. Lessons learned. A cat has 9 lives. I don't know how many I got, but it's I used a lot of them. 1 minute?
No, one left.
Oh, one left. Okay, so I better make it a good one. All right, as far as I'm concerned, it's extraordinary. The bottom line on a near death, and I'll just briefly talk about this car crash over 100 miles an hour. I'll spare you the details and the reason, the causes, but the bottom line is, boom, I'm out of the body. I'm looking down at the vehicle. I'm looking down at the bloody mess. Oh God, how terrible, and the car's going to blow up and so on and so forth. But I feel no pain. Who am I? What am I? If that's the body, if that's Sergey, what am I? I'm a spirit. I'm a soul. I'm consciousness. I'm awareness. And that's when it hit me. Lesson number 1. Another thing that hit me is the moment of truth. Stop the bullshit. In other words, stupidities are stupidities. What's most important? I realized what's most important. And it wasn't making a time or beating a speed record. I mean, I don't get paid for that anyhow. It's I could have put somebody else in danger by that behavior as well. The point is life, health, a family, kids, people who love us, friends, being able to be of service. That's priceless. And once I realized that, again, moment of truth, everything else is bullshit. Did I say that out loud? Okay. All right. There goes. Let's talk about another type of an experience, out of body. Dr. Shealy described his out of body. Mine came from a set of experiences, and I'll tell you a little background story. When I was working in emergency room back in New York, I was a very curious creature, and I'll mention that at some point. So I was into all kinds of strange and unusual, and I had some very unusual experiences myself. I encountered another physician, another ER doc, I was told, stay away from him. He's strange. He talks about scary and unusual things, and he's kind of crazy, but somehow they keep him around. His name was Dr. Brian Daly. He became my business partner, my best friend, and my mentor. And he became, and we started a company called Sunbit Wellness, based on use of binaural beats and frequencies and how to work with the brain and the mind without drugs and otherwise. And that's what led to myself meeting Dr. Shealy, because Dr. Brian Daly is not only a brilliant physician and a brilliant mind, even though he scares the living lights out of everybody that he comes across, because of he doesn't make himself small. He talks his truth. And he introduced me not only to Norm, but initially in 2011, introduced me to the concept of near death, out of body, moving things with your mind, bending spoons. And I was very curious. I was really open to all of this. And I became eventually on a number of committees and advisory board for the TMI, the Monroe Institute. And one of the things that happened was there's a program called Gateway Journey or something of that nature. It'll come back to me, but it's the initial program that literally using binaural beats. That's where I got the concept to put the binaural beats in everything in BIOGENICS, which is a self-regulation program, already amazing by Dr. Shealy, but with the frequencies that connect the left and the right brains. Because in that 1 week, I literally went from being a half a person, logical, reasoning, left-brained, with half a function of a human, literally, to opening up my right brain. And that came with a lot of emotions, tears, and anger and frustration, and a big journey that is continuing always, literally, onion layers. And at that point, I had a number of unusual experiences on demand. Not because I was crashing vehicles or I was putting myself in physical danger, but on literally training the brain and the mind how to relax, go within, and actually find yourself outside of the body. And there's actually a number of wonderful possibilities. One of my really good friends from TMI. I'd like the honor of saying that anyhow, is Joe McMoneagle, which is the number one military. There was a program basically where there were psychic spies and people who were able to locate things using their senses, just literally going with their mind into different places. And interestingly, that program was maintained for a number of years. Joe's got so many good stories. So it was all about that. So I got immersed in that culture. And the one thing that I learned about that is there's one statement that I'm going to say: we are more. That's the summary on that. If you think you're a physical body, we are more. If you think you're just your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, those things come and go, depending on what the overall programming is. We are more. We are a spiritual being. We really, literally have wings. On that level, we have wings. We have powerful, amazing wings, and we can do a lot of stuff. I'll give you an example. If you can think of covering space, let's say from point A to point B, let's say a caterpillar wants to make the distance. It'll make it, but it's going to be a long and difficult journey. Now, if a butterfly decides to cover the distance, not only is that enjoyable with the view and everything, it's easy. It's effortless. That is how we work with our patients and our clients. If it's too hard, if it's too stuck on the physical level, you got to work with the control center, untangle, open up all of those, reset all those connections, neuroplasticity of the brain, so that the patterns are changed, improved. Different pattern, different outcome. Make it better. Get a better outcome. And last but not least, realizing that, like I said, we have wings. We have spiritual wings, the powerful beings, powerful creatures, and we don't even know how powerful we are. We get moments and glimpses from in times of basically of action or of emergency, where we spring into action, and a mom average mom is able to lift a cart to save her baby. That's not something to say, wow. I mean, it is a wow, but we all have that capacity at all times. We just forgot who we are. We forgot our heritage, literally. In retrospect, I also would like to mention all these things, these gifts, they just don't come out after multiple trainings and courses. And I'm in my 40s, and I've been doing basically exploration of consciousness for the longest of time. I was actually, in going back, and by the way, we talked about that at some point. Kids have a lot of wisdom, and if you listen to them. When I was a child, when I was a kid, and this was a very young age, I still have a few memories, interestingly enough, where I have extraordinary experiences. For example, in my mind, I would visit a museum, and then when we would travel, very rarely, we would go in the museum and knew every spot in that place. And this is just an example of the things that have taken place. But every time I tried to talk about it or mention it back in the former Soviet, and it was like, shh. Don't even go there. I mean, you're going to be crazy. So I learned to shut it down, and it literally was a colon cancer experience in 2007 that woke me up. So again, a blissful event. Now we have a few minutes before we go into a break. How many we got?
About 6.
About 6 minutes. Actually, I would like Dr. Shealy, Dad, since you officially adopted me, right, and I'm happily here. Now, we're talking about life, death, journeys, just basically being, meaning of life. Now, we're all, at some point, I'm gonna pass. In other words, we're all going to pass. We're all going to have our time of that. But I want to ask you, from your perspective, and if you could speak to the audience or talk to the people about the most essential things you've learned in life, and what you'd like to let people know about what they need to know about life from your perspective.
Well, obviously, I have spontaneous knowing. It just comes out of the blue. For instance, I was examining life force in the brain, and all of a sudden, I realized that I actually could control the thinking and traveling in space without physical body. And then all of a sudden in 1984, I began to hear a voice, a male voice, who introduced himself as an angelic force, and for many years was accompanied by innovations and tools to develop new organizations. I still have that communication, and I have had other communications with other entities, but not as frequently as with G. I call him for G for angel. In addition, I have long understood the brain at the deepest resources. I understand literally the physical being of the brain. And in certain realities, I spontaneously know what's going on. Without knowing what's going on, I know it just happens.
Intuition.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, exactly. It's we actually we recorded the course on intuition in our course library, and that's one of the most powerful things, to be in touch with yourself and your true inner being. Now, let me ask you a question. A lot of people, and I hear a lot of patients and clients talk about fear of their death, and basically, what would you say? Perhaps we're all going to be dead eventually.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the in other words, the transition for yourself? What's your perspective?
Well, this thing is total death. When you die, you go into the angelic force, if you will. You can call it anything you want, but you travel in time and space, and you're just as conscious as you are in any other situation. I have experienced previous lives back to 3,500 years ago, and I have at least 30 previous lives in the last, 1,600 years or so. And they're as real as sitting here with you.
So when it comes to the moment of death or passing, I take it you have no fear of that.
Oh, no, not at all. You did just pass one dimension into another.
Perfect. And what advice would you say? Because you've traveled, both you and I have traveled extensively in all these realms. What advice for the living would you say in a nutshell that you would want people to know?
Relax. Let it go. Don't get excited over it. It's no big deal.
And of course, I'm sure you would say, take care of yourself.
Of course.
Spirit, soul, mind, body. Lifestyle, thoughts, feelings, emotions.
Don't do anything foolish.
Yes. And Robin, do we have... okay, so we actually got a little more time. And on to the break. All right.
Okay, you're still on Facebook.
Oh, okay. So we are still on Facebook Live. Oh, I did want to say one more thing for everyone who's listening. There's one other topic that I haven't covered, and this is something you may have had some experience with that as well. But let's talk about this. Mhm. Yeah, thank you. So, by the way, for the record, it's the camera moving. It's not, we're standing still here. Okay. So, if anybody gets disoriented, it's hey.
And angelic forces intervened.
And sometimes angelic forces come through human beings. I mean, and among all things, of course. Let's talk about another category of interesting things, lucid dreaming, because this was a huge interest of mine. And I've actually had lucid dreams when I was a kid, when I was a child. And I tried to explain that or talk to my family at the time and friends. And like I said, I was labeled nearly crazy. So I stopped talking about those things and I became normal again. So now there you go. Basically, what is lucid dreaming? Lucid dreaming is learning how to go into a dream state, especially REM state. And there's technology and there's methodology to it, but it's tedious. You have to train yourself. It's like learning biogenics. It's a skill. The key component is you can enter into a dream state and literally take a vacation into the universe. And that's exactly what we were learning. So basically, if you want to fly, you fly. That's what I'm saying. Your mind, your thoughts, your feelings can take you to places, and you can actually put yourself in any given place. You want to travel to the Amazon, you want to visit Ecuador, Peru, you want to visit Alaska. Boom, there you are. Again, that's lucid dreaming. You can go into outer space. Again, you are safe and you can play. It's like a safe playing environment. And the beautiful thing about lucid dreaming is once we realize we have control over our dreams, once we realize that we have capacity over, or at least potential to control our dreams, then it's our choice to do that or not. If we don't, that means we're not living up to our full potential. But we have the capacity. Everyone does. Everyone can be trained. We all have the machinery. Another thing you learn along the way in lucid dreaming is that, and this is wonderful, is that once you translate that into our current reality, and that's why I come back to the concept of matrix. What if this was a matrix? What if the society is an artificial structure constructed for certain purposes, not necessarily our full potential, and we have the right and responsibility to snap out of that shell and literally break open our wings and fly? Freedom, ultimate freedom. That's what I'm talking about. That's the key. So this is what I've been doing. I've been learning how to fly, so to speak, how to take the unlimited reality and apply it to the current world. And that's what I'm teaching my patients. So it's not just about medicine. Yes, you can get rid of diabetes. You can get blood pressure under control, anxiety, depression, stress. It's more than that. It's about your life. It's about literally regaining your wings. And transforming from a caterpillar into a butterfly. Now, there are some people who will refuse to fly. I mean, they'll have wings and they'll just keep crawling on the ground. There is nothing you can do for that. Nothing. I've been asked a number of times. Okay, I have a lot of my patients come from referrals. In other words, it's word of mouth, literally. That's the main thing that happens. People love what we do, and they say, and then the next question is, I have a brother or I have a father or so on and so forth. Now, but they're not really interested in their own health. What can you do for them? The short answer, absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. What I can do for them is everything. Absolutely, we have the protocols, we have the systems, we have the devices, the electromagnetic support with PEMF. We've got mind and mental, emotional, central and autonomic nervous system retraining with autogenic training, biogenics. There's an entire protocols on various medical conditions to normalize metabolism, normalize the brain chemistry, normalize various things. But the bottom line is, if a person is not interested in change, if a person wants to keep on crawling, wings or no wings, they'll do whatever they want to do. So the choice of the question is individual. Each butterfly has to decide to take flight.
We're getting ready to come back in.
Now it sounds like you wanted to.
Well, my mother was a self-taught woman, and she started me on vitamins early in life and continued until I was free on my own. But I took a multivitamin and B complex.
Now let's come as we're coming in. Let's continue on this topic as we're back on the radio.
Well,
okay, wait. I'm always concerned about that introduction because that music is a competition for the voice. Okay, are we down? All right, because like I said, everything we're saying comes from the heart, so we don't want to drown any given. Okay, please.
Well, in today's world, if you take specific extra vitamins, you live healthier and better. I have been on B complex um, all my life, as long as I can remember, and vitamin D3 all my life. And in today's world, if you don't take this, you're going to have serious problems with deficit. The average person needs between, well, 50,000 units of vitamin D3 once a week to once a 10 days. It's that simple.
That's the minimum. Yeah.
Yes. You need B complex, a minimum of 24 milligrams a day of B1, 2, 3, 6, etc. You need all kinds of other things, but vitamin C is one of the big ones.
Magnesium lotion as well,
And
topical. Yeah.
you cannot absorb magnesium through the mouth.
Yep.
It's a waste of money and time to take magnesium other than the skin.
Perfect.
And it's deficient in 80%, a minimum, 80% of people in America. So in Springfield, of course, you go to Spring Valley because it's the best store in town, and the service is most important. You walk into a store with 10,000 or more items. How do you find it? Well, service. They come out and help you find whatever you need. And it's a shape place where I shop, and you should too. And of course, they carry my magnesium lotion, my Bliss oils, all kinds of other goodies. And the most important place is to get it with help. Now, also, the average American eats appallingly low amounts of vegetables and fruits. You should eat approximately 8 servings a day minimum of fruits and vegetables, mainly vegetables, but some fruits. The average American gets only 2 instead of 8, and you're going to suffer tremendously. Now, at the real grocery stores, you walk in, and in the produce department, you can buy, well, a phenomenal supplement.
Tart cherry. Actually, I can think of one that's on top of my list. Tart cherry.
Oh, tart cherry juice concentrate. 2 tablespoons is equal to 6 servings of fruits and vegetables. So at least you can make up for, well, junk food.
You want to know a little secret? I take a lot more than that.
Well, I just drink, I think, 4 servings a day instead of 2.
Well,
but it's good.
Yeah.
It's good for you, and it's in the proper grocery store.
Yep.
Now, there are other things worth thinking about, but taking care of yourself for fruits and vegetables is the most critical thing at all.
I'm going to say this way, as with anything, garbage in, garbage out. You want to put good things in your body, you're going to get good stuff out.
And
that's it.
80% of food available
Is garbage
in the country is junk.
Yeah.
Fast foods, junk foods, grocery stores, all junk.
And let's actually, since we're talking about stuff to be aware of, not to be afraid of, but to be aware of, is the fluoride in the drinking water. And that, if you don't have a good filter, it could be a Berkey filter, could be something else, reverse osmosis. But bottom line, that's going to kill your endocrine system. That's going to kill your thyroid. I mean, just terrible.
It is dangerous to your health. And city water is among the most dangerous things in the world today. Flunk all city councils. Kick them out every election to get rid of fluoride. And get rid of dentists who use fluoride.
Oof, that's another big one. Yeah, the dental products. My God. Do we have any callers? Or by the way, the number to call in, I'm going to go from memory here, but let's see. Okay, that's 744717777. Okay, got it. All right. Generally numbers is not my interest or things, but it is what it is. So feel free to call with any questions, anything on your mind, talking about spirituality, talking about extraordinary experiences and how it affects our reality. Because here's the thing, I'm going to come back to the same question that we asked originally. What is reality? And next question is, could this be a form of a matrix? And what does that mean specifically? Last but not least, I'll ask you again. Who or what is your true essence? If what we talk about today is going to help you to reconsider and to get a bigger picture of who you are, open up your world, enjoy your life, realize that the holistic is the blueprint of who we are holistic.
And reality was reincarnation. In the first 325 years of existence in the current world, it was part of reincarnation. And a book was written by a reputable physician.
I'm trying to remember the name. I know the book you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, Reincarnation in Christianity.
Yes.
Present until 325. And the stupid, immoral, impertinent.
Wasn't it Constantine? Constantine the emperor that basically,
a murderer, a raper, a horrible person.
All sorts of terrible stuff.
And he demanded kicking out reincarnation because they didn't want a second chance.
Mm-hmm. So I'm smelling.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Go ahead. Yep.
On your air.
Phone call. All right.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Hello. Hi. So I called last week and was asking about fibromyalgia and the PEMF device, and I had a couple of follow-up questions.
Yes, ma'am.
I thought of afterwards. I only weigh about 98 pounds without clothes, and 97, 98. Anyway, and so I was wondering if I should take less taurine, less lithium orotate than you were talking
about? Perhaps. Lithium, here's the thing about the mental health, or stress management, because to me it's the same. Mental health and stress management is same category, literally. It's not necessarily the weight of the person, but it could certainly relate. I mean, some people who are highly anxious, and I'm not saying who. There's a huge scale and the range. If for a person that's highly anxious, who's got, let's say, 100 pounds or so, I mean, they could need higher doses. And for somebody who's, let's say, 300 pounds but very minimal symptoms, I mean, they could use minimal doses. Then again, with a lower weight, as you mentioned, because it could be too much. And again, there's several approaches. The one approach is the so-called the shotgun approach, which is I love in the emergency room. I don't have much time. There's something comes in. I'm just going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at it, and hopefully something's going to hit. But I have no idea what hit. It's okay because as an emergency room doc, I don't care. That's not my specialty. I want to fix things and move them on. In my other world, in my wellness world, this is a very different story. You want to know where you are, what to adjust, and eventually you want to customize it to yourself. So I'd start with taurine, and let's see what Dr. Shealy will agree or not, between 3 and 4 grams for that weight, and then just kind of go up and down. The effect of taurine is to calm everything. It stabilizes the electromagnetic charge on especially nerve cells, and when you stabilize that, you don't want it to be too slow or too fast. Right down the center. That's taurine. Lithium, I would start between 15 and 20 milligrams. And then it goes up to 30 or down to 5. Most people around 20 will do, 80% will do just fine in my experience. And then there's tryptophan, which is another part of the protocol for the stress management.
Oh, yeah. Can I ask you about that before you
Please.
go on? Because that was another question.
Yes.
So I have tried tryptophan in the past, and whenever I've taken it, there's a zing, zing, zing sound in my head, and it drives me crazy. I can't take it.
That's,
have you ever heard of that?
I have not. I mean, it's possible. Dr. Shealy, have you heard?
Well, you have to have a B complex. If you take B complex, it will not work properly.
So there's in other words, what we're saying is, okay, let me rephrase. I know exactly where we're going. Things work in bunches. It's not like one element here, one element there. It's as a holism. Everything interacts. So you got to have a good B complex in order to make sure that all the other stuff works. Without a good B complex, it could certainly challenge the energy, because B is the energy supply for the ATP, for the cells. So if you're taking Dr. Shealy's youth formula and essentials gives you a good B complex, and I would take maybe up to, instead of 4 of those. There's the youth formula, which is vitamin C, MSM, raises DHEA, anti-stress wellness hormone. So that, and then magnesium topical. And let me just mention one more thing: vitamin D3, because if that package is basically a prerequisite for all the other things that we do. I mean, the other things could work, but there's a chance that might be difficult without those.
So, I can't take much vitamin C, like ascorbic acid. It really irritates my stomach. It also makes me have to go to the bathroom all the time, which I already do a lot. Have to do a lot because of bladder prolapse bladder, and other organs, pelvic organs. But so I can't take a lot of the vitamin C, but the B. So you think maybe because if I don't have B complex, then the tryptophan's doing something strange in my brain?
You're wasting time.
Let me rephrase. Tryptophan is going to challenge. It's going to take up a lot of the B, and if you don't have sufficient with an extra increase in demand by tryptophan, you'll be feeling not so well. So, but an easy solution: make sure you just give a good B complex or Dr. Shealy's essentials. Thank you for asking. That's a lot of people that tell me, "Hey, I this is not the first time I've been asked that, and this is this, and that's why you got to have all the basic nutrients, the entire complex." Yeah.
Okay. And then with the biogenics, you said there are a lot of them I noticed on there. Are there particular ones for fibromyalgia that I should listen to all the time?
Absolutely. Okay. Question is biogenic self-regulation training program, which is, again, this is the lifetime work of Dr. Shealy. And myself. We added a lot of things and we put it online. And interestingly enough, just to give you the concept and the history behind the biogenics, it was originally a 2-week program in the hospital. Then it became outpatient, and then as we got more improvements and more tools, it became an in the office program that we used to keep people in literally for several weeks, 2 weeks, and we used to charge up to $8,000 for the intensive training and resetting of learning the exercises, and I'll get back to you with specific ones here, and just kind of going through this entire reset. And then they go home and they follow up. But now this whole thing is available online, and that's biogenic. So for anyone who is not partaking in it, please do. This is literally a gift. It's a giveaway. But we do it because it's so essential in our times, and this stress is killing everybody. This is the anti-stress. The next, so to answer your question, the exercise that you probably want is going to be focused on. There's one called pain management, or there's 2 versions of that in there, and that combines a number of different modalities. In other words, mixed, and you can actually run through and you'll figure out what you like best. Some of my favorites, for example, is breathing through the skin. That's another exercise. Learning to breathe through the skin. And then if I can learn to breathe, if I can visualize, I'm visualizing, then let's just put it this way, that air flow through the skin. And then then if I can make this area of the body either warm or otherwise, I can apply increased circulation to my back, for example, and I can literally relieve spasm on the spot. use the power of the mind. There's other techniques. There's one where you literally put first a 1 inch and then a 12-inch kind of imaginary halo around yourself, and that is able to. Yes, yes. With that, I was able to numb my body when I was in a car wreck, and basically with a paralyzed spine from L3, excruciating pain. Nobody came to my help for 7 hours. I literally used a variety of these techniques, especially pain techniques. This one specifically was one of the most powerful. And once I was in that state, I felt that something in my back, but in other words, it was tolerable. It is what it is. So there's a number of others, but start with those, please.
And I did order also the pain management one.
A pain management course.
You want to order?
Yes.
I mean the whole course. I did do that. I ordered that one too.
Wonderful,
so
wonderful.
Find ones in there. Just find whatever I resonate with, I guess.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Dr. Shealy, I mean, he's known for holistic medicine, but Dr. Shealy is probably more worldwide known for pain management. That's God bless.
And I saw on the BIOGENICS course there's one called nervous system retraining or something. I thought, that one looks like it would be good for fibromyalgia.
Exactly. Nailed it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
I just had a quick question about the PEMF.
Yes, please.
I've heard that the intensity level. I was watching PEMF talks, and they said that the Gauss should be 15 or above, and it doesn't say anywhere on the literature what the Gauss is.
Yes, let me answer that question. 0.2 Gauss. Boom. Okay, low amplitude. Why is that important? The higher the amplitude, the less time you can tolerate on the device. In other words, it's like having a very powerful engine. Now, it's okay if the plan is to deliver with some devices just high voltage on the spot, and boom, there you go. The concept on low amplitude is that it is safe for your body, and you're right, you nailed it. Under a certain amplitude, you can do 24/7, which is why we like the low amplitude, and which is why you can keep the PEMF on, let's say, delta mode for sleep support at night, so you can and then gamma mode for the brain optimization of the brain, and then the sweep for just literally cellular regeneration and circulation, everything else, recovery, pain, fibromyalgia. I mean, that's classic for that. But at the same time,
sweep.
The sleep is the delta, the third one.
No. For fibromyalgia, the best one is the sweep.
Oh my God! Yeah, don't let me forget. The best one is. You're talking about the PEMF or the BIOGENICS? Sorry.
PEMF.
Okay. Yeah. For you, I believe your best friend is going to be the sweep.
The sweep. Okay.
Yeah, but at night, definitely do the
delta. That's what.
The third.
That's what I've been doing.
And some people, interestingly enough, have reported that the pain level or fibromyalgia or other neuropathic type entities, it actually improves with delta or the sleep mode. So try that as well. That
like during the day.
Yeah. They're in BIOGENICS. One more thing. I'm sorry. I'm talking a lot here, but I want to throw this to you. In BIOGENICS, there's also a program called 8-hour sleep support, which is pure delta as well. Okay. Please don't forget about that.
Okay. And so you listen to that during the day, though, right? Not at night, or not when you're sleeping, right?
When you're sleeping,
before you go to bed.
For the sleep support, you put it on when you go to bed, and then you wake up with it and turn it off, because most people will not be able to wake up when with it's playing.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to have headphones on and sleep. But so, and then my last question was, what is the connection between these gamma, delta, and the kind of the brain waves, gamma, delta, and all that? Because and can I listen to, like, I have holosync technology, which is binaural beats, in the BIOGENICS. Can I listen to that at the same time as having the PEMF going, or will that interfere? Or
no,
any connection between the brain waves?
It will enhance it.
They could be different, though. I mean, I could have like a binaural beats of gamma, but then be having the delta on the PMF.
God, yes.
Is that okay?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Just think of the brain. It's not just a single instrument. When you're in the orchestra, a grand orchestra, just lots of instruments, lots of layers.
That's right. We have different brainwaves going at the same time. I just learned that recently.
Oh,
so
God, yeah. And it's a beautiful orchestra of things. Yes.
And these instead of brain waves, these are whole body waves, like the gamma, the delta, the Shealy-Sorin.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the frequencies for the brain, and we will be. Actually, I'm going to continue after the program. Do we have? I'm just going to ask how much time we have. Oh, have I 5 minutes? Okay, if I get a chance, let's talk about it. So, and this is frequencies binaurals and gamma, one of our favorite topics, which is love the opportunity to expand. Start with delta. Delta is 0 to 3 cycles per second. In the brain, it supports deep stage 3 sleep. That's what we're missing. That's what we need. It's also good. It's also good for pain suppression, and just also like if there's like a sciatica or things of that nature on the PEMF device. That's why the third setting is helpful for many people. Second, moving on up is the theta. Theta is 4 to 7 hertz or cycles per second. In that state, is thought to be connected to gamma, which I'll talk about in shortly. Theta is the introspective. That's where kids are basically when they're little. They're in a dreamy state. They're just always happy no matter what's happening, carefree. That's the kind of place that theta is. Next one is alpha. Alpha is 8 to 12 hertz cycles per second, and that's basic relaxation. Relaxation, reset. Most people don't know what that means. We're just in the overdrive mode all the time. So the story is that and that's alpha, and then there's beta, which is attention, focus. From 13 to 30 cycles per second or so. And in that range, in the lower range is productivity. In the higher range, Robin is telling me 2 minutes, so I better wrap it up. In the higher range of the beta is the anxiety, stress, rumination. So that's where, again, working with these devices and the frequencies can actually help modulate that, control that. And there's a wonderful science behind this, including there's a resonance and there's lots of other frequency-based things. One of my favorite quotes: "If you want to understand the universe, think of energy, frequency, and vibration." Nikola Tesla.
Right.
Yeah, so that's that, and then gamma is
working on the body, isn't it? Also, it's not just working on the brain.
No, not just the body. Yeah, the brain and the body. It's about if
the body has frequencies too.
Everything, every cell is.
I mean, brain, similar to the brainwave ones. The body has.
The brain is a very unique organ, and I'll continue this conversation. We can stay on here with us after the radio show. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to wrap up the radio program itself, and please stay on. We'll continue the conversation. We have time. All right. So for everyone else out there, I'm going to continue this fascinating conversation. I love this. I love sharing information and learning as well. So stay with us. Next week is going to be another fantastic, amazing current conversation with Wellness Wednesdays. Stay healthy and don't forget to fly. You got wings. Take care. And is the sound off? Double check everything. So nothing is competing for the airway, right? Okay, fantastic. All right. So yeah, let's continue our conversation. Now, please remind me briefly where we were.
So I was just trying to understand, because I know there's brainwave frequencies. Then there's, which like the binaural beats affect that. Then there's this PEMF, which is supposed to be for the body, the whole body, and the brain. So I don't really understand.
allow me
the body
to.
responds to delta frequency, the body responds to gamma frequencies, as well as the brain responding, but differently. Or
Well, let
same
me
way?
allow me to kind of to draw a map here, because I know this is very 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 interesting, and it's fascinating. Okay, so everything I described from delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma. Actually, I haven't talked about gamma. Gamma is thought to be optimally at 40 hertz or cycles per second, and that's basically the optimal brain. So that's our second setting on the PEMF. Binaural beats can never achieve gamma. Gamma is a different technology. There is a technical reason why a binaural beat can never produce gamma. That's just
really. I have a holosync that says it does.
Holos is a combination of. It's not technically a binaural beat, and we can talk about a binaural beat. It's a difference between two frequencies under 20 cycles per second. If it's over 20 cycles per second difference, it will become a sound of its own, not a binaural beat formed in the brain. That's the distinction. So I know what you're talking about. It's a wonderful program, but it uses other technologies. It's not just binaural beats. Know that. Yeah, it's a lot more complex than that. It's beautiful, but yeah. So the key here is we're talking about the brain. These are the languages of the brain, but the body, every cell has a certain language of its own, and there are certain frequencies. The healthiest frequency for the physical body is actually a Schumann frequency, 7.83 cycles per second. That's why the sweep is the best thing for that. And the Schumann frequency, we had a program on that just before, shortly. I think it was last one before this, or before that, not sure. One of the recent ones where I talked about the connection of the Schumann frequency, or in other words, 7.83 cycles per second, and the heartbeat of the Earth, as it relates to the alpha frequency of the human brainwave, which is basically relaxation, bordering on theta, which is just getting in the zone, and and then, of course, there is the interesting experiments that were performed, and I'd like to mention briefly this. In the 50s, there was, when the Schumann frequency was discovered, 7.83 cycles per second, there were several experiments, including space programs, but also involving students who were put in the bunkers with the concrete structures all around them. And the question was, by eliminating all sorts of frequencies, including Schumann frequency, what will happen? And all these healthy young people became sick, and a lot of them dropped out. And those that didn't drop out, they reintroduced just that frequency, 7.83 cycles per second, Schumann frequency. And it's not that they were happy, being isolated in a bunker, but they were at least okay. That was the message from that. So that's why the sweep works on the body. The gamma, I'm not sure what the gamma effect on an average cell is. I just cannot make that statement. There's been several claims, but I just don't have enough evidence to make a definitive statement of what the gamma will do to the body. I know it feels wonderful, but the brain controls everything. The brain is the control center. And so that, I hope there's a lot more to this. We can talk for many, many days and weeks here on this. I love this topic. I'm sure Dr. Shealy does as well. Did we address your question on that?
Well, this is like I have holosync technology. I can listen to that, but this is going to affect my whole body instead of just my brain, like the holosync affects the brain.
Yes, ma'am. These are the tools for your entire being, physical, mental, and emotional being. Yes.
So it's more powerful or more systemic or something.
Well, it's holosync. These are holosync is great. I'm not going to say anything negative about that. It's good. But the training, the fact that you're retraining the program of your brain, your mind, that's the key. And the PEMF, of course. But we do, I do believe the timing is a question. And so I'd like to talk to you again. Perhaps let's touch base.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
Answering all my questions.
God bless.
Helpful.
God bless.
You too.
Thank you. And I sure appreciate you. Please, actually, I'm going to ask you to check in with me next week. See how you're doing, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Do we have any questions or thoughts on the internet? Let's make sure we address anything any hellos?
Hellos from New York. and Adelaide, Australia.
Oh, New York to Australia. That's okay. Well, hello back.
And there was
Yeah.
a comment about Claude Swanson.
Thank you.
Pass.
Yes, one of our dear friends, Dr. Claude Swanson, he has written a number of wonderful books about, well, things that people can barely understand, and he makes these concepts extremely simple. A wonderful physicist, a wonderful scientist, a wonderful human being, and a mutual friend. And he passed, unfortunately. So condolences to the family and the friends, and much love to everyone who knew him. Yeah. Well, I think sounds like we're getting to the place where we are finishing things up. Appreciate you all and stay strong. Like I said, don't forget you got wings, and don't forget to fly.
Have a good week.